Now it is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, everybody!
In the 90s, we were going through depression, okay? Unemployment was high. We were all stressed out about raising our kids and providing for them.
Oh, it just seemed like there was more and more traffic every day, all the time.
Sacramento was a growing city in 1991. The town was getting bigger. More people were coming here. Of course, along with that comes all types of crimes.
So I grew up on 17th Street, which is in Land Park, and it was a dream street to grow up on as a child. You know, I would come home from school at 3 p.m. probably, and I'd hop on my bike and just ride all around Land Park and didn't even think twice about, you know, if I was safe or not. It was just my playground.
You felt safe in Land Park?
Oh yeah, I felt very safe.
It was a great place to raise a family. It was a quiet neighborhood, mostly older people, a nice place to live. I was really busy, you know, going to work and coming home and doing my own thing, and they were busy, but you know, they took good care of the house, maintained the yard. I didn't think much other, you know, than they were good neighbors.
So I first heard about what happened to Jenny and her parents. I think it was Monday night, and I was already in bed, and I remember the phone ringing in the kitchen and my mom answering it, and I sort of heard her speaking, and it was sort of muffled, but I just remember her being very shocked and saddened by the news. And then I heard her like walking towards my room and coming in and then telling me what had happened. And I was in complete shock. I didn't know how to process it.
Some of my coworkers called me and said, "There's something happened on your street. There's police over there, somebody was killed."
It was late this morning when concerned friends of one of the victims stumbled upon the murder scene.
They found a side door unlocked, and they went in and they found a tragic crime had occurred inside the house. In fact, the friend they were looking for was dead, and they notified the police department.
We got the call that bodies had been found inside of a house.
When that came in that morning, our lieutenant, I think, he emptied the office out because it was such a horrific scene.
Nick was a friend to everyone, would do anything for anyone. So never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined something like that happening.
I was told, "You're responsible for the house," doing the scene in the house. Went in a side door. I recall the kitchen was okay. I recall even though there was no victim in the living room, it was horrific because of the damage a gunshot had done to Marcy. You could see where she lost part of her face while she was sitting down. There's evidence of that at the couch and on the walls. I remember going to the bathroom, very small bathroom. You had to force the door open to get to her, and it was a very horrific sight. Obviously, she'd been shot bad in the front room while she was sitting down, and then went to the bathroom and was very brutally stabbed and cut. One of the worst I'd seen as far as cutting and stabbing. Going from there to the bedroom was a more horrific sight of the little girl. And she'd obviously been in bed and was shot in bed, and it was obvious she was shot in the head. Still had her doll, teddy bear doll.
Michael Jacobs, where was Michael Jacobs found?
Outside in a detached garage that had a large safe, and he was on the floor at the base of that safe.
What wounds had he sustained?
Gunshot to the head. I knew that was the worst scene I had ever encountered. It's been 28 years, but it's like yesterday. It's a case that's never left your mind.
I was already a veteran of about 10 years homicide, and seeing people in this fashion, it's always going to, take you by surprise. I just couldn't figure out, with everything that was going on, why anybody, and especially one of the next door neighbors, nobody had heard anything, nobody had seen anything.
Nothing. Mary didn't hear a thing. The Clarks didn't hear a thing. Kim didn't hear a thing. I heard nothing. I mean, it's true, there's some freeway noise, but stuff like that, you would have heard it.
Doesn't surprise me. It disappointed me. I would have liked to have known what time this happened, because that helps you figure things out.
First 72 hours of a case is critical, because you're going to get a lot of information. A lot of information will be flowing out to the public. You're going to get phone calls from people that might have information or might have known where they were last or what they were doing, or might have spoke to them. Contacting as many people as you can, to try to put your finger on who might have been responsible for this.
Specifically, I don't recall what the police were telling us, other than it had something to do with the safe in the garage, and the safe had been opened and it wasn't totally cleaned out, which was kind of astounding. But I guess there was money in the safe that did not belong to Mick. The safe didn't belong to Mick, and they suspected that's why this all happened.
Putting together what was going on, the details of this crime, it just started to open up more and more. And we found that Ricky McCarthy, of course, was an associate of theirs. He'd asked the Jacobs to do a favor for him, and that was to be able to keep one of his safes, large safes, over in their home.
They were just going to store a safe for a friend when he went to jail. It was a simple thing. Their life is over because they probably made one bad choice.
People that make bad decisions, if they end up paying the price for it, it's one thing. But when it's a little child that is caught in the middle of it, that's just a tragedy.
Here's what I know, that it was more than one person that entered that home. I know that whoever was allowed to come in their house was known to the Jacobs. They were known enough that no survivors were going to be left at that house, because any and all of them could identify at least one of the perpetrators. And so they were all murdered.